Awesome. I'm pretty sure we are now live. So today, guys, we got something super special for you. We brought in Chris right here, who has been working with the clinical marketer team within our book partnership program. Chris right here. Mute that. Perfect. Brought in Chris because over the last several months, he's been able to generate. We're pretty close that we're pretty sure that you crossed the 100K from your ads mark. We got to run a few more numbers, but you're dangerously close if you haven't. And so we wanted to bring him in to interview to share some of the strategies that he's found that has worked really well that have allowed him to scale his ads to where they are today, to get his practice and his team operating at the level where he's able to just throw money into ads and quadruple it or 5x it. And just to see the amount of success that he's had just from ads in such a short amount of time. So Chris, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, super happy to be here. I've watched 1,000 of these recordings and it's cool to finally be on this side of it.
Good, man. Yeah, we're really happy to have you. And it's about time too, because we've been working with you since about March of this year?
Yeah, I think March is when I first joined with you guys.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that we're able to finally pull you out here into the group. So if you guys are on here live, comment live. If you're catching the replay, comment replay, and please let us know if the audio is coming through just fine, because I know that we've had some issues in the past. So before we kind of dive into your metrics, Chris, because obviously, pulling in over 100K just from ads is no small deal. It's incredibly impressive. And I want to go into the strategies and what that actually looks like on a logistics standpoint of how much time you're putting into this and, what does it look like when you are working on it. But before we dive into that stuff, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and really where you were before you started working with Clinical Marketer and joined the book partnership program?
Sure. So I am the co-owner of Vitality Therapy and Performance here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've got a business partner. When I first joined CM, it was just me and him, doing workshops and grinding and getting out there, doing the local events and, just grinding our faces off, trying to grow this thing. And we were kind of stuck in that like 10 to 15,000 a month revenue, just kind of wondering where our next evals were going to come from. We knew that we could do a workshop every weekend to get evals, but it was just so tiring. And so then joined you guys and things have just skyrocketed since then.
Nice. And for the people who are on here listening with us live, let us know if you kind of feel or that you're in that same position where all of your clients right now come from networking and doing workshops, and you feel yourself kind of reaching that ceiling, reaching that capacity of how much you can do on an organic front to get patients in the door. Because I know that's a huge point where a lot of the people that join our program find themselves, where they literally couldn't do more workshops even if they wanted to, whether because they're already doing as many as they possibly can, or there's restrictions at home, like they got young kids and they physically can't do workshops every single weekend. So if you guys can relate with that, let us know. So before joining with us, you're doing about 10 to 15K months. And so what would you say the biggest month was before you joined our program?
I think the biggest we had was 16, I think was our peak.
Nice. And what has been your biggest month since working with us?
38 last month.
Nice. And is that growth been pretty consistent?
Yeah, each month has been a PR.
No, really?
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. And just curious, like how much of that is coming from paid ads versus some other marketing and patient acquisition stuff that you're doing?
So it's been a pretty interesting mix, especially as our clinic has been around a little bit longer. We've had a ton of people that are like, yeah, I saw you at the CrossFit Comp or at the marathon and stopped by and got worked on, but then the algorithm worked and Facebook tracked me and I saw your ad, so I figured that was a calling. So it's kind of been like an interesting dual-pronged approach where people see us locally and then see an ad and they're like, oh, I remember this company, they were pretty cool, and then they opt in for it. So I guess you could say, including that, ads have probably been 70-80% of our evals.
Nice. And so the rest of it's basically coming from boots on the ground, networking and doing workshops and kind of that 1-2 combo. If they didn't convert at the workshops, the ads are going to get them on the back end.
Yeah, right.
Nice. How often are you doing workshops these days?
We shoot for twice a month. We used to do, like I said, 4 times a month. But between me and my business partner, we had 3 kids in the last year.
No, well, congratulations. That's exciting, but yeah, lots and lots of change.
Yeah, I had twins and he had one. So we were like, man, we don't want to be doing workshops every weekend anymore. We want to take weekends and be with family.
And have obviously in the perfect ideal world, that's what Facebook ads do. Has you found that Facebook ads have been able to give you that time and flexibility to spend more time with your kids?
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, we're doing half the workshops that we used to, and it's usually just more so relationship upkeep more than needing the patients.
Yeah. I think this is a topic worth diving into because this is one that a lot of people are really uncertain about. They either think it's going to take an insane amount of time to actually run successful ads, or they're very naive about it and they think that they're not going to have to do anything. It's just going to be magic. So realistically, how much time are you actually putting into your ads on a weekly basis?
I mean, once everything is up and running, it's maybe 2 to 3 hours of tinkering a week.
Yeah.
Which I probably tinker more than I should, but baseline 1 to 3 hours is really all you need, I'd say.
Nice. And when you are tinkering, like what exactly are you doing? Are you creating new ads? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, you guys kind of put out the baseline metrics that we shoot for, and I always try to overshoot it. So I'm always trying to test new creatives, new text, that sort of thing, just to push the metrics as best as I can get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you are the golden example that we try to educate our clients with. It's like, you don't have to be a marketing genius to be really good at running ads. You literally just have to test as much stuff as possible. It's just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what works. And not surprisingly, it's exactly how Facebook's algorithm works. The more stuff that you're able to feed it, the more accurately you can start to find who are the right people to show your ads to. So how, like right now, do you have any idea how many ads that you're actually running or like how many creatives that you're testing?
Probably like 40.
Right now, I think I had Max check. I think you're running like 93 different ads right now.
Okay, there you go.
I was curious if you know, but the amount of testing that you do is absolutely incredible. We're trying to get as many of our clients to start to adopt that mindset as well. So when you're coming up with creatives, like what does your process look like? Like what do you actually do to come up with new images and maybe even videos to test with your ads?
I kind of just have noticed trends of what Facebook tends to like, whether it's a anatomy picture with like a bright highlighted muscle or something like that, or lately I've been experimenting with like super simple stuff. So just like a black picture with text on it that says, hey, does your shoulder hurt? Click here, that sort of thing. And then trying as many different ideas as I can.
Right. That's what it comes down to. So it almost seems like every single week you're adding in new images. Are you?
Yeah, for sure.
Every week?
Yeah.
Nice. And is that pretty much routine for you now? Like every Monday you come up with new images?
Usually on the weekend, yeah, I'll sit down and throw in a few more and turn off the ones that aren't working as well and let Facebook figure it out.
Hey, a little bit easier than going and knocking on doors, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So now that you've been like running ads, what would you say has been the biggest discovery that you made that you might not have known about your business, or biggest bottleneck that you had within your business that you didn't know was really a bottleneck until you started running ads?
We've grown so much since we joined you guys. It was just me and my business partner when we first started, and now we've added 2 pelvic floor therapists and a massage therapist and an ortho PT. So we've hired 4 people, which is, created its own issues within itself just from the economics of growing. But as far as bottlenecks, like Before it was getting enough people to fill our schedules, and now it's just figuring out how to fill 4 schedules, which has been a lot more realistic to do given
Yeah.
the power of the digital space.
Great. So running the ads has obviously allowed you to grow and expand your team. So is the biggest like discover, like what would you say out of that? It's like the biggest lesson that you learned then?
Never stop testing.
That's a good one. That's a really, really good one. So before you join a program and you're running ads, did you experiment with ads on your own?
Yeah, it was terrible. I tried like, boosted posts and that sort of
Mhm.
thing, and it was just nothing, no results.
And so when you joined our program, and I don't think you've worked with other people or worked with other programs on your ads. Is that right? You
Right.
never hired a coach for that sort of stuff.
No.
What were like your biggest fears when you first started working with us?
I mean, it was just the fear of like, I didn't understand Facebook ads and like
Yeah.
the power that was with them. And so I was like, well, what if I pay for this program and it just, maybe I get a few patients, and then because my experience was with like the boosted posts and stuff, and I was like,
Right.
I don't know how much better it can be. This didn't work. But then, so just taking the step of actually buying in and joining up and seeing what the actual potential was.
Right. And so when if you remember, like what was your biggest like goal? Like if you could just hit this one goal, like this whole program would have been a success, because I'd be willing to bet you probably obliterated it, but what was your like initial goal when you joined us?
If I remember, I think it was to get 10 new patients a month,
Mm-hmm.
I think is what it was.
Well, and do you know what you're pulling in a month right now?
From ads, probably 20 to 30, I'd
That's
say,
incredible, man.
between everybody.
And if you don't mind sharing, like what does your budget look like to be pulling in 20 to 30 patients a month from ads?
It ranges kind of depending, like just controlling the ebb and flow of when therapists get full and then need more patients and that sort of
Yep.
thing. It ranges from $75 to $100 a day.
But you didn't start there, did you?
No, I started at 50, and that got us full, and so we hired, and then spent more money to get them full, and then hired, and then spent more money to get them full.
Got it. Scaled it up as you went, as you grew your team.
Yeah.
That's an incredible amount of growth that happens in a very short amount of time. Like, do you feel like outside of running ads, did you learn anything else from this program that you weren't expecting to learn?
I mean, the sales strategies and tactics and actually how to nurture a lead that comes in was invaluable. I mean, it's one thing to learn how to create an ad creative and text and hit publish, but it's another thing to learn how to actually take in those people and get them to buy in and become part of the Vitality family.
Yeah. And when you say Vitality family, 'cause I actually don't think that we touched on this in the very beginning. Like, who are your people? Who are you attracting with these ads?
So on the ortho side, it's largely CrossFit running, triathletes, baseball players, that sort of thing. Anyone trying to stay active, really anyone with goals. And then on the pelvic side, it's a little bit more gen pop, postpartum, prenatal, really anyone with pelvic pain that they can help.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely like your high performance rehab clinic with some pelvic health sprinkled in there.
Yeah, on the ortho side for sure.
Beautiful. And yeah, and if that's you, just know that you are definitely our kind of bread and butter. We only work with people that are pretty much mere reflections or very close to it to our own clinic. Obviously, Chris fits that mold pretty darn well. Public health. Has that been your biggest driver with the Facebook ads? Which population would you say has been the biggest hitter?
Pelvic for sure.
Yeah,
It's
public health is a cheat code when it
it's
comes to ads.
ridiculous. Yeah.
I love it, man. Okay. So, I feel like not everyone who runs ads is able to hit this same amount of success in the same time frame that you've been able to hit it. obviously inside of our program, we guarantee that our clients will generate at least $30,000 over the span of 90 days. Some people hit that within the 90 days. Some people it takes a little bit longer because they're not as further along. They're not quite as developed as a business owner as some other people are. And so you crushed that 30K guarantee and you generated over 100K. So I'm curious what you feel your gifts and your strengths were that you already had going into this program that kind of allowed you to take what we taught you and just run with it to hit the level of success that you're pulling in right now.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing has just been implementing, like taking every bit of information you can and actually doing it. I mean, you can learn all this stuff, but if you don't actually put it into action, it's, like you said, it'll take longer or it just won't happen at all. And that's one thing you guys are great at, is teaching, like, here's all the tools you can use, and then leaving it up to us to kind of figure out, okay, how do we want to, implement this into our own businesses?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And you're obviously incredibly good at that, not just taking action on what we tell you to do, but also doing all the things that we don't heckle you to do, like constantly testing new things, which I think kind of goes into and maybe even answers my following question. So everyone who runs ads obviously wants them to be massively successful. What are 1 to 2 things that you would recommend to anyone who's just getting started with ads, who might be running some lackluster ads that they may have learned from one of their programs, or in your own words, what are a couple things that people need to do in order to be successful with running ads?
I mean, like I said earlier, never stop testing. Things could always be better.
Number one.
Yeah. And then just not sticking with like one framework of type of ad, I guess. So taking kind of the tools that you learn and pushing it into other things. So like I've used ads to market for workshops, digital workshops. I've used ads that like go to our website, used ads to, like right now I'm running one that's doing super well, where I take people to like a pop quiz where it's like, answer these 15 questions to see if we can help you. So just going in with an open mind and really letting the framework of ads not be the ceiling of it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what you're doing at the same time while you're doing that is what's in in this space called seasoning your pixel. And so for those of you who don't know, the pixel is kind of Facebook's snippet of code. It's artificial intelligence that is unique to your brand only. And the more information it collects from people interacting with your ads, the more accurately it's able to show your ads to the right people. And so because you're experimenting with all these different ad formats and all these different types of offers, your pixel is getting incredibly intelligent and incredibly talented at showing your ads to the right people, which is why your ads are more profitable than other people, because you're not just doing and testing all the things we tell you to do, but you're also experimenting with these other things, which in turn, it makes your pixel better, which in turn shows your ads to better people, which in turn drives your cost per leads down. So every single thing that you're doing is obviously attributing to the low cost per lead and your high profitability with these campaigns. So excellent work, man. I gotta give credit where credit's due on that front. But outside of just like the actual testing of the ads and just going over, what are the non-ad related things that go into making ads successful?
I think it's just knowing who your person is, being able to speak to them emotionally and, get them to actually get that click, which is something I learned with you guys, is like actually how to think like a marketer, not just a clinician. So how do you like draw those people in? What are the things that they want to hear you say, so that they actually do come see you and let you help them?
And are you just talking about like what you actually write in the ad, or are you talking about other things as well?
I mean, what you write in the ad, what you say on the phone when you actually get a lead coming in, like how do you actually speak to that person, beyond just the surface level of your shoulder hurts, okay, we can fix that, but actually like why is your shoulder pain limiting your life, preventing you from playing with your kids, you can't throw a basketball, that sort of stuff.
Right. And so has any besides just how you're handling the calls and how you're talking to those individuals, has anything else changed within your practice's structure or your patient experience or any other system based thing? Has anything changed besides just the ads that you've made to make the ads as successful as they have been?
I mean, for sure. Like we use a lot of the strategies that you guys teach just with our local leads coming in, from the website or workshops or that sort of thing. So it's not just people that click on the ad that, I've learned how to nurture better, but it's actually the other people coming in as well.
Yeah. And I know like some people, they want to run ads, but honestly, they're just not charging enough to make it even worth their while. Some people coming in, they're charging like $100 per visit, like less than $1,000 lifetime value. That really makes it difficult to be profitable while running ads. So for you, like what does your price structure look like right now?
Yeah, so our single visit is 170, which we're going to raise that coming into the new year. Then our most popular package is $1,000 for 6. So that'll go up as well.
Nice. So you're increasing it to what in the new year?
We haven't decided yet. We're still kind of going back and forth on what we think.
Yeah. What's the range that you're kind of thinking about?
Somewhere hovering closer to 200.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, do you plan on announcing that to all of your past patients, or is it something that you're just testing with new clients who come in?
We'll probably do just the new people coming in. And then we're also debating like a, reactivation, like buy your package at this rate before it goes up sort of thing.
Yeah. We recently did this at ProKinetics. And so I'd recommend, because we made a pretty big jump. Our evaluation went from 225 to 250, or no, 275. It now is. So it was a pretty significant leap, which now that 270 counts towards whatever package they end up buying. But before we actually made an announcement to all of our past clients, the first thing that we did was every new client that came in, we pitched them like different price points to find where that sweet spot was going to be. So maybe just try that with your ads moving forward. New people, just pitch them the higher end price that you're thinking and the lower one, and just see what the conversion rates are. And then base it on that, and then use that price to announce it to all of the past clients.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, that's the way that I'd run it. Otherwise, you might lock yourself in for another 6 months at $15, $20 less per visit than you could have otherwise, which basically would cover your ad budget each month.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right. So your rates, you're playing around with that. You are selling packages, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, have you seen any difference between the conversion rates between people who are referred to you versus people coming in through the ads? Like, what does that look like?
There is a slight difference. And some of the metrics are a little bit skewed. Like, for instance, the last 2 weeks, we've gotten quite a few people in the shoulder ads with like tears and stuff. And they're like, you're my last hope. Like, what do I need to do? And it's like, well, we can't help you. So obviously that hurts our conversion a little bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no. And something we've been experimenting with is, so they come in for like the voucher price, and then we'll just pitch them the package on top of that eval. So they're really getting, like, if our package is 6, they're getting 7 total visits.
Yeah.
And the conversion hasn't dipped at all.
Nice. Yeah. That's freaking incredible. Your follow-up system's got to be pretty dialed in. Are you the one doing the follow-ups?
You mean lead nurturing, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Following up the leads as they come in.
I do the ortho, and then I've trained our pelvic PTs to do their own.
Nice. So just for the people who are curious about running ads, like, what does the process actually look like once someone actually opts into their ads? How do you turn them into a new package?
Yeah, so the ads will get their contact information, so we'll get that, and then we'll follow up as soon as we can. And then really it's just going through the script that you guys gave, like, why did you click on the ad? How can we help? Getting the emotional buy-in, and then actually getting them booked. And then once they're booked, not just letting them sit stale for the next week or whatever, but actually like we created like a 3 email sequence where it's like, here's some patient reviews, here's what to expect, that sort of thing. Just to get them excited for the visit before they actually come in. And then when they do come in, they're excited to be there.
Right. Nice. And then once they are actually in, anything unique or different that you would do during the evaluation that you might not need to do with, someone else? Do you treat them any different than any other patient?
No, not at all, actually.
Nice. Good. And simplicity scales. So you obviously want that kind of consistency, but I think a lot of people just under the impression that Facebook leads are just low quality leads that require a lot of extra hustle and work to make happen. But that hasn't been your experience, has it?
No, not at all. As long as you can tailor your ads to find your people, like I was saying earlier, how to actually speak to them, then you'll get the right people in the door.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you put in the work and test as much as you have, it's only a matter of time. But some people don't necessarily have the patience to put in, the 1 to 2 hours a week that you need to get this stuff dialed in, sadly. But to kind of wrap things up, so we're running close to our 30-minute mark here. You've been able to build your practice to, over 30K a month consistently in a very short amount of time, which is something that a lot of people in this group and on this channel have only been dreaming of. And it just seems so far out of reach to so many people, and maybe even felt out of reach to you just a few months ago. So what's just some advice or some lessons you've learned along the way that might not necessarily be just, related to Facebook ads, but might just be on a personal level or professional level or as a business owner? What are just some pieces of advice you have for the people who might be stuck at the 5 to 10K mark, who are really just struggling to break through to that next level that you've been able to find?
Never stop testing. No, I'm just kidding.
Rule number 1, baby.
Yeah. No, I'd say it's just find some way to be like 1% better every day, every week. As long as you're constantly tweaking something to improve, you'll look back in a year and you'll see how far you've come. And it doesn't even have to be anything huge. It's just like, well, what if I, send this text at this time? Or what if I, do workshops on Friday night instead of Thursday night? Just seeing how you can make things better and always try to find a way to optimize what you're doing. And then you'll look back and it'll be crazy how far you've come.
That's some really sage advice. I mean, as you said, like, it doesn't have to be anything big. It's the smallest hinges swing the biggest doors. People think that they need this massive big action in order to like get things rolling, when in reality, as you said, it's literally just like, what if I tried doing it at this time instead of this time, and just testing these little micro things and paying it enough attention. Like, you don't have to be tracking everything meticulously and writing everything down in a journal, but as long as you're like being thoughtful about little changes that you're making, be like, oh, that did work a little bit better, I'm going to do that from now on. Continuing to make those iterations, it's almost inevitable that eventually you'll get to where you're trying to go.
Yeah, this is funny. This is my latest little tweak that we've done. Is all of our local workshops, we bring beer now.
Yes.
You would be shocked at how many more people will attend a workshop if there's free beer.
That is it's a genius idea that I bet a lot of people are pinching themselves like, why the heck have I never thought about that?
Spend $50 on beer, you'll get 20 people, I promise.
It's brilliant. Because the biggest indication of whether or not someone's going to buy from you is if they were able to build an emotional bond to you. Mm-hmm. Best way to do that is to have a beer with somebody, right?
Yep.
That's brilliant, man. If you're on here and you're now going to bring beer to your live events, come with me and let us know how it goes, because that's freaking brilliant. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing all of your wisdom and your experience with us. Before you go, like, just tell us what are the next steps for you? What's your next goal? What are you working towards?
Well, lately we've been looking at expanding to a different state, so that's kind of what we're working on. And then we're getting a bigger space, so always growing.
Dude, congratulations. Are you moving into a bigger space, or are you opening up another spot?
Moving into a bigger space.
Nice. Congratulations. In the same area?
Yeah, same building actually.
Dude, oh, that's so convenient.
Yeah, right.
Are you gonna have to renovate the thing?
Yeah, unfortunately, but
Those are always fun. Those are
yeah,
always fun. They never good are as short as you always miss your deadline or your goal deadline, but they always end up being terrific. So I'm excited for you, man. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you, and thank you again for being here today. Before you leave, any advice for anyone who's considering working with us in the book partnership program?
I mean, just do it. Like, don't be afraid to spend money to make money. That's been a super important thing to the growth of our business, is don't be afraid to pay for advice from someone that's been there and is at the point where you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, you've more than 10x your money with us. Um, which feels pretty dang cool. You hit one heck of a milestone, hitting that 100K mark since joining us. So, like I said, it's been a privilege to get to work with you. Now we're going to get to work with you on an even closer level. Chris is now going to be joining our team as an ads coach. So, if you are interested in working with us, comment me below. We're more than happy to follow up with you to give your marketing an audit to see what you're currently doing and see if there's anything we can do to make it even better. But inside of the book partnership program, Chris is now going to be doing ad reviews and helping our clients with all of their ads since he's been one of our top performing clients for quite a while now. And he's provided an immense amount of value to the program and to the clients within it. So we're making it official. So thanks for being here today. And thank you so much for the value that you bring to the clinical marketer and the book partnership community, man.
Of course, thank you. Happy I
Awesome.
joined you guys.
Guys, have a fantastic rest of your night. Thank you for being here. We'll catch you next time. We got a really cool announcement coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for it. But everyone, have a good night. Later.